We don't serve trash here. Take your broke ass somewhere else. Derek Torres, floor manager at the Harborside, an upscale bar in Boston AS Financial District, snarled at the man in scuffed work boots and a jacket patched at the elbows. The guy looked homeless, completely out of place among lawyers and bankers dropping hundreds on cocktails. Yet he stayed seated, calm, quietly ordering water and fries, the cheapest items on the menu. Sarah Mitchell, a black waitress enduring her 5th consecutive double shift, observed from across the bar. She knew Derek's game: humiliate anyone who didn't fit the image, protect the polished veneer. But something in the man's weary eyes struck a chord, reminded her painfully of herself. She approached to take his order. The way she responded, with a quiet confidence and dignity that Derek hadn't anticipated, froze him. Speechless, wordless. He couldn't even process what had just happened. Neither of them realized that this single, fleeting moment would uncover a secret quietly bleeding them all dry. Meanwhile, Alexander Brooks sat alone in his corner office on the 14th floor, Boston's city lights glittering behind him. Past 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, the financial district long emptied. Most nights he would have left too. But tonight, an email changed everything. Sender: anonymous. Subject: check the tip pool. Alex clicked open the message again, even though he'd read it 3 times already. The note was short, cold, precise. They're stealing from us. 3 attachments followed. The first was a photo of the schedule board with handwritten changes. Sarah Mitchell's Friday night shift crossed out, moved to Monday lunch. Emma Williams shuffled from Saturday dinner to Tuesday breakfast. Someone with manager-level access was altering shifts silently. The second attachment, a screenshot of bank deposits. Small, irregular amounts, always under $1,000. $835 on October 31st. $890 on November 3rd, $1,235 on November 7th. Odd numbers, no pattern. The third attachment tightened his jaw. A receipt from the Harborside Tavern, the flagship location. Credit card tip line $45, handwritten below in different ink. Pool total $12. Alex cross-referenced with revenue reports. Harborside was thriving. Revenue up 12% over last quarter. Customer reviews averaged 4.7 stars. On paper, everything looked perfect, but something gnawed at him. He scanned the HR files. 15 employees had quit in 6 months. 15. Turnover had spiked 280%. Exit interviews were vague, mostly cited scheduling conflicts or personal reasons, though 3 hinted at management issues before interviewers cut them off. Alex leaned back. His father had opened the original Harborside 30 years ago, a neighborhood tavern where everyone knew your name. 2 years ago, his father passed. Alex dove into expansion. 4 more locations, 5 restaurants total, 80 employees. He delegated day-to-day operations to trusted managers, focusing on growth strategy and investors. But had he become too distant? His phone buzzed. Text from his business partner. Quarterly board meeting moved to Friday. Need your projections. Alex set it down. Projections could wait. Something more urgent demanded attention. He pulled up the schedule again, focusing on the current floor manager, Derek Torres. 2.5 years with the company. MBA from a decent school. Strong interview, confident leadership style. Alex had personally approved his hiring and promotion to floor manager 18 months ago. Performance reviews were glowing. Revenue up, labor costs down, complaints down. Yet employees were leaving, and someone had sent him evidence. Alex opened a browser window, logged into the POSOS system, pulling tip data for the last 8 weeks. Credit card tips tracked automatically. Servers received them directly in their paychecks. And just like that, the calm veneer of his flagship location started to crack. But cash tips were supposed to go directly to servers at the end of each shift. The system had no way to track them unless someone was taking them before they reached the employees. Alex thought of his father's office wall, where a framed quote still hung. "Your people are your business. Protect them like it. He'd failed at that. Let the business grow while losing sight of the humans running it. His father would be ashamed. Alex closed his laptop and stared at the photo on his desk. The original Harborside, opening day, 1995. His father stood in a worn work jacket, pride radiating from his smile. That jacket still hung in Alex's closet at home. 20 years, building the business brick by brick, shaping a legacy. Alex picked up his phone, opened a new note, and typed 3 words. Go undercover. Thursday. He needed to see the truth himself, not through reports, not through exit interviews. He needed to sit at that bar, watch the staff, witness how his manager treated people when the owner wasn't watching. And if someone was stealing from his people, from his father's life work, he would make it right. Thursday night at the Harborside began like any other. The after-work crowd filtered in around 6 p.m., bankers in Brooks Brothers suits, lawyers carrying leather briefcases, young professionals hunting happy-hour deals. By 7, every table was full. The bar counter had a waiting list. Sarah Mitchell moved through the chaos with practiced efficiency. Table 8 needed another round. Table 12 wanted appetizers. The foretop by the window was ready for entrees. She juggled it all. 6 tables, 12 customers, orders flowing to the kitchen in perfect sequence. Sarah, Derek Torres called from behind the bar. Table 9 is asking for you specifically. They're regulars. Sarah grabbed menus and headed to table 9 where the Thompson couple sat. They came every Thursday, always ordered the salmon special, always left 20%. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, good to see you again. Wouldn't miss Thursday with our favorite server, Mrs. Thompson said warmly. Sarah took their orders as expected, salmon for both, and returned to the POS station to ring them in. Derek stood beside the computer, arms crossed, scanning the floor. Busy night, Sarah said, inputting the order. Could be busier. Table 6 is camping. They finished eating 30 minutes ago. Sarah glanced at table 6, an elderly couple sharing dessert, talking quietly. They're enjoying themselves. They're taking up real estate. I need that table turned for the next seating. I'll check on them in a few minutes. Derek's jaw tightened. Check on them now. We're not a retirement home. Sarah kept her expression neutral. Of course. She walked to table 6 with the check, smiling. No rush at all, but whenever you're ready. The elderly man looked startled. Oh, we're taking too long, aren't we? I'm sorry. Not at all, Sarah said quickly. I just wanted this ready when you need it. We'll get out of your way, the woman said, fumbling for her purse. Really, there's no rush. But they were already standing, leaving cash on the table. They hurried out without finishing their dessert. Sarah returned to the POS station, ran the payment. The tip, exactly 10%, less than usual. She pocketed the cash, adding it to the growing pile in her apron. By 11 hours, the rush ended. Only a few stragglers remained, nursing final drinks. Derek gathered the floor staff in the back office. Sarah, Emma Williams, Jason Davis, and bartender Rebecca Moore. Good night, everyone, Derek said, pulling out the tip jar from under the bar. Let's settle up. This ritual happened nightly. Everyone emptied cash tips into the jar. Derek counted the total, divided it using a formula only he understood, then handed envelopes with each person's share. Sarah pulled $280 from her apron. Tables, the Thompsons, Table 8, Table 12, the foretop, 3 smaller tables. She tracked it throughout the night. A good shift. Emma contributed $195. Jason added $240. Rebecca, $120. Derek counted slowly back to the group. Slow night, he announced. Total, $835. Sarah's mental math disagreed. She had watched every table for 4 hours, yet said nothing. Derek distributed envelopes. Sarah opened hers, $63. Expression unchanged. No surprise, just tired recognition. Emma frowned. This seems low for how busy we were. VU doesn't equal tips, Derek said smoothly. Lots of bad tippers tonight. You all did great work, but that's what came in. Jason shrugged. Rebecca didn't even open hers. Sarah watched Emma's face. Confusion, doubt, reluctant acceptance. Don't question Derek. Take what he gives. After the others left, Sarah stood alone at her locker. She opened her thin envelope. 63 hour. 6-hour shift, 12 tables, excellent service, $63. She reached behind her extra uniform, pulled out a worn manila envelope labeled in her careful handwriting, Liam's College Fund. Inside, 47 scraps of paper, receipts, napkins, torn order tickets, all documenting nights like this. She pulled a blank receipt and wrote, Thursday, November 7th, estimated $280 my tables. Derek gave me $63. Folded, stacked, 48 nights now, 48 lies. Envelope hidden, coat on, out the back door. Old car, broken heating, started on the 3rd try. Sat for a moment in the cold, staring at the restaurant, then drove home to her son. Friday morning, Alex stood in his bedroom closet, staring at a jacket he hadn't worn in years. The Carhartt work coat hung behind the suits. Faded brown, paint-stained sleeves. His father's jacket. 20 years old, building the original Harborside. Alex had kept it after his father died. Now he pulled it off the hanger. It barely fit. Zipper stuck halfway. He looked in the mirror. Gone. Tech entrepreneur, corner office restaurant owner. In this jacket, faded jeans, old boots. He looked like a laborer, someone who had spent the day on a construction site. Perfect. Alex made his decision overnight. He couldn't audit Derek openly. A public investigation would alert him, give time to destroy evidence. HR? Derek would charm them, bury problems under polite explanations. He needed the truth unfiltered, raw. Phone rang. Business partner. Alex, where are the projections? Board meeting in 6 hours. Send my apologies. Something came up. I'll join remotely Monday. I have something to handle this weekend. He hung up. Alex spent Friday planning, studied the schedule. Harborside, Tuesday through Sunday, closed Mondays. Derek worked Thursday through Sunday, peak hours. Friday night busiest, max staff, max customers. Perfect. He drove to a bank, withdrew $15 cash. Left credit cards, Rolex, wedding ring, needed to be invisible. 6 p.m., jacket on, faded jeans, Timberlands with worn soles. Mirror, transformation complete. Father's voice echoed, You learn who people are when they think you're nobody. Keys in hand, Alex walked to the Harborside, parked 2 blocks away. November, cold, biting through thin jacket. Paused at the door. Through the window, usual Friday chaos. Packed tables, servers moving quickly, bar full, his staff, his father's legacy, and maybe someone stealing from the people who made it run. He exhaled and pushed through the door. Hostess Maria Gonzalez, professional smile flickering at his appearance. Hi there. Just you tonight? Yeah, just me. Great. I'll find you a spot. She scanned the room, skipped the window tables, seated him at the bar counter. Perfect. Alex kept his head down, avoiding eye contact. Past Derek Torres, clipboard in hand. Derek's eyes didn't register him, just another customer. Alex sat at the bar. Rebecca Moore, bartender, approached. What can I get started for you? I'll wait for the waitress. Thanks. She nodded, moving on. Alex scanned the room. There, Sarah Mitchell, carrying drinks to a nearby table, moving with quiet confidence, warm, efficient, smiling at customers. She'd be his test, and Derek's. Time to see who they really were. Sarah finished delivering drinks to table 14 and glanced toward the bar. A new customer had taken a seat, worn jacket, work boots, tired eyes. He looked like he'd just finished a long shift somewhere, carrying the weight of the day. She grabbed her notepad and approached. Hi there. Sarah smiled genuinely. What can I get started for you? The man looked up at her, then quickly down at the menu, self-conscious. Hey, He cleared his throat. What's the cheapest thing you have? Sarah's pen hovered over her notepad. No judgment entered her voice. We have appetizers starting at $7. The fries are popular, or we have mozzarella sticks. Just water is fine, and the fries. Small order. That's all. Silence fell between them. Sarah didn't write anything yet. She looked at him. Really looked. Not with pity, with recognition. She'd seen that expression before, her own face in the mirror during the hard years after leaving her ex-husband. Long day? She asked quietly. The question caught him off guard. An honest answer slipped out. Yeah, long week, actually. Sarah nodded slowly. She set down her pen and leaned slightly against the bar. Her body language said, I'm not rushing you. Can I be honest with you? She asked. Okay. Kitchen made extra burgers tonight. We have a new line cook. A great guy, but still learning portions. Made 4 too many. She smiled, small and genuine. My manager hates food waste. It's one of the few things he's actually right about. He was guarded now. Okay. One of those burgers is going in the trash in about 10 minutes if no one eats it. Would you be willing to help us out? I can't. I don't have money for no charge. Her voice was gentle but firm. It's already made, already paid for. Either it goes to you or it goes to the trash. A pause. And between you and me, you look like you've been working hard. Someone who's been working hard deserves more than just fries. Alex opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He stared at her, throat tightening, words stuck. 5 seconds passed. Mouth slightly open, eyes glistening, blinking back tears, throat working, trying to force words. Sarah waited. Patient, kind eyes, no pressure. Finally, he whispered, His voice cracked. Why would you do that? Because everyone who walks through that door deserves to be treated like they matter. She picked up her pen. It's that simple. So, can I bring you that burger? It's really good. House-made sauce, bacon, aged cheddar, comes with sweet potato fries. He couldn't speak, just a small nod. Sarah's smile warmed. Perfect, I'll get that right out. And don't worry, if my manager gives you any trouble, tell him. I said it's kitchen waste, he can talk to me. She wrote on her pad, tore off the ticket, and turned toward the kitchen. Wait, he called after her. She turned back. What's your name again? Sarah Mitchell. Thank you, Sarah. His voice thick with emotion he barely controlled. Really? You're welcome. She smiled once more. Be right back. She disappeared into the kitchen chaos. Alex sat frozen, unable to move, unable to process what had just happened, hand trembling slightly, reaching for water, setting it down untouched. In 60 seconds, someone had shown him more kindness than most people did in a lifetime, and she had done it while being robbed blind by his employee. Derek Torres had been watching from near the kitchen pass. He'd noticed the man in the worn jacket the moment he entered. Exactly the type of customer Derek preferred to seat quickly and move out faster. Low value, probably a bad tipper. And now Sarah was spending too much time talking to him. Derek walked to the POS station, leaning close, voice low but harsh. What did you just do? Sarah kept typing, didn't look at him. Kitchen waste, extra burger from the new prep. I know what you did. That's a $24 burger. Was going to be thrown out. We don't give charity to people who can't pay. Sarah finally looked at him, calm, steady. It's food waste. Company policy says we can comp reasonable amounts to avoid. I don't care what policy says. You know the rules about unauthorized comps. Derek crossed his arms. That's coming out of your tips tonight. $24? A flicker of something crossed Sarah's face. Pain, resignation. But she recovered quickly. Fine. That's it. Yes, that's it. She submitted the order. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have customers waiting. And you recut at 9 instead of 11. I don't need servers wasting time on people who done a T-tip. Sarah's jaw tightened. She nodded once and walked toward the kitchen. Derek called after her, just loud enough. Bleeding heart's gonna bleed you dry, Mitchell. She kept walking. At the bar, Alex had heard every word. Derek's harsh whisper had carried just far enough. The emotion that left Alex speechless moments ago transformed into something else, something harder. Sarah wasn't just being kind. She was paying for his meal out of tips she desperately needed, and she was being punished for it. Losing $24 plus 2 hours of work. And she'd said fine without hesitation. Alex's hand resting on the bar tightened into a fist. He forced himself to relax it, expression neutral. But inside, something shifted. This wasn't just investigating tip theft anymore. This was about a woman who chose kindness over safety, who looked at a stranger and decided he deserved dignity, even when it cost her. And the man who was supposed to manage his restaurant, protect his staff, was punishing her. Alex came to find evidence, but found something more important. He discovered exactly who Sarah Mitchell was and exactly who Derek Torres was. 8 minutes later, Sarah returned with a tray. Alex stared at what she'd brought. The Harborside Burger Deluxe sat perfectly plated. Bacon, aged cheddar, house sauce, brioche bun, sweet potato fries, arranged with care. Beside it, a small house salad with vinaigrette, and tucked next to the plate, a ramekin of chocolate mousse. Dessert isn't, Alex started. I know, Sarah smiled. But you said it's been a long week. Chocolate helps, trust me. She refilled his water, adding a lemon wedge without being asked. Enjoy. Let me know if you need anything else. Sarah, he said, and she paused. I heard what he said about your tips, about cutting your hours. You didn't have to do this. She met his eyes. Something softened in her expression. Yes, I did. My dad raised me to believe how you treat people when nobody else watching is who you really are. She glanced toward Derek across the room. Even if someone is watching, it doesn't change what's right. But you matter. She said it simply, directly. Everyone who sits at this bar matters. Don't let anyone tell you different. Before he could respond, she walked away to help another table. Alex sat staring at the food. The lump in his throat made it hard to swallow. He picked up his fork with a trembling hand and took a bite. The burger was incredible, but that wasn't why emotion threatened to overwhelm him. For the next 2 hours, Alex watched Sarah work. He forced himself to eat slowly, making the meal last, observing everything. At 7:30, an elderly couple entered. The hostess started to seat them near the bathroom. Sarah intercepted smoothly. Actually, Maria, table 8 just opened up. They'd probably prefer the window view. The couple got the best seat in the house. At 8:15, a man in an expensive suit snapped his fingers at Sarah for more water. She didn't flinch, refilled his glass with the same warm smile she'd given Alex. Anything else I can get for you, sir? At 8:50, Derek cut her as promised. Sarah clocked out, but didn't leave immediately. She stopped by each of her tables, transferring them to Emma with detailed notes. Table 6 has a dairy allergy. Table 12's anniversary, they might want dessert. Table 8 likes extra lemon in their water. At 9:15, the shift ended. Derek called the servers to the back office for tip pool. Alex stood from the bar, left a $10 bill, 2/3 of the cash he'd brought, and walked slowly toward the exit. He positioned himself near the hallway to partially see into the back office through the window in the door. The ritual began. Everyone contributed cash to the jar. Derek counted with his back to them, then distributed envelopes. Sarah opened hers. 63 euros. Her face showed no surprise, just tired acceptance. She went to her locker. Alex watched through the partially opened door. She pulled something out. A worn manila envelope, wrote on a scrap of paper, hid the envelope again behind her uniform. Alex left through the front door, walked to his car 2 blocks away, and sat in the cold darkness. He'd seen everything he needed to see. Saturday morning, Alex arrived at his office at 7 a.m. He'd barely slept. His mind replaying Sarah's words. Everyone who sits at this bar matters. He called his IT director at home. "I need security footage from the Harborside back office camera last 8 weeks." There was a pause. That's a lot of footage of Derek. "Is everything okay?" "Pull it, don't tell anyone, I need it by noon." "Yes, sir." At noon, Alex sat in his locked office, laptop open, reviewing footage on a split screen. He pulled specific dates from the email's bank deposit screenshots. October 31st, November 3rd, November 7th, October 31st. Timestamp, 11:47 p.m. Derek entered the back office alone after the shift, looked around. Door closed. Then he pulled the tip jar from under the counter, counted cash with his back to the camera, hands visible. Bills moved, separated, stacked. Then a portion slipped into his jacket pocket. Recounted remaining bills, divided them into 4 smaller piles, put them in envelopes. Entire process, 3 minutes. Checked the door, left. Alex felt sick. Fast forward to November 3rd. Same pattern. Derek alone, pocketing cash. This time, Alex could see more clearly. Roughly a third taken before distributing the rest. November 7th, Thursday night. Alex had been there. Same routine. Derek ass hand-sliding bills into his jacket with the casual efficiency of someone who done this countless times before. Alex compiled footage, 43 separate instances over 8 weeks. Every shift Derek managed the same way. Count, pocket, distribute. He calculated rough estimates based on visible bill denominations. Over 8 weeks, Derek had likely stolen $1,200 from the tip pool, maybe more. Alex called his lawyer Saturday afternoon, met at a coffee shop across town far from prying eyes. "This is felony wage theft," his lawyer said after reviewing footage. "The Department of Labor will prosecute if you file a complaint, but I'd recommend handling it internally first. Fire him, recover what you can, then decide about pressing charges." "I want him prosecuted." "Then we need documentation. Security footage is strong, but we need more. Financial records, employee testimony, evidence of amounts taken." Sunday morning, Alex dove into the financial records. Pulled POS data for every shift Derek had managed over the past 18 months. Cross-referenced with payroll. POSOS tracked credit card tips automatically, direct to servers, but cash tips were distributed at shift's end. System had no record, except estimates. He looked at credit card tip totals, applied industry averages. $400 credit card tips on a night? Cash tips probably around $250. He built a spreadsheet, dates, estimated tips, expected distribution, checked bank deposits Derek made, matches email screenshots. November 7th, POS, $835 of credit card tips. Estimated cash, $400, total $1,235. Derek told staff only $835, lied, pocketed cash. November 8th, deposited $1,235 in personal account. October 31st, discrepancy, $1,035, deposited $1,035. November 3rd, discrepancy $890, deposited $890, exact. Smoking gun. Sunday evening, Alex interviewed former employees by phone, contacts from HR records. 3 agreed. Emma Martinez quit 3 months ago. Derek took 40% of tips, called it a management fee. Hours cut to almost nothing. Couldn't afford to stay. 2 others confirmed the same pattern. By Sunday night, Alex had built an ironclad case. 43 instances of theft on security footage. $31,200 stolen from 4 current employees over 18 months. Bank deposits matching stolen amounts exactly. Testimony from 3 former employees. POSOS data proving his lies. He created a folder, Harborside Internal Investigation, compiled everything. Monday morning, calendar invite, mandatory staff meeting, 10 a.m., all floor staff required. Owner would address concerns. Derek received the invite and smirked at his screen. Finally, the owner was coming in. Probably wanted to congratulate them on the revenue increase. Monday morning at 10 we are 8 people gathered in the Harborside conference room. Sarah Mitchell, Emma Williams, Jason Davis, Rebecca Moore, Maria Gonzalez, Tommy Anderson from the kitchen, and Derek Torres. The room buzzed with nervous energy. Derek sat at the head of the table, confident. Must be good news if the owner's finally coming in. Sarah sat near the back, quiet. She'd been summoned on her day off and wasn't sure why. Her stomach twisted with anxiety. The door opened. Alexander Brooks walked in. Tailored suit, perfect haircut, owner mode. He closed the door behind him and stood at the front of the room. Silence fell. Sarah's face went white. She stared at him, recognition hitting like a physical blow. Oh my God. Derek frowned, confused. Who are you? Alex met his eyes. I'm Alexander Brooks. I own this restaurant. The tension in the room became electric. Sarah couldn't breathe. The man from Friday night, the worn jacket, the cheap order, it was the owner. Thursday night, Alex continued, voice steady. I sat at that bar counter wearing an $8 jacket and ordered water and fries. Sarah's hand came up to cover her mouth. Sarah, Alex turned to her, voice gentler. You asked me if I'd had a long day. I said yes. You told me the kitchen had made extra burgers and asked if I'd help you out by eating one that would otherwise go to waste. I'm so sorry, Sarah whispered. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize. Alex's voice was firm but kind. Let me finish. He walked closer to her. You offered me a $24 burger, upgraded sides, and chocolate mousse. No charge. You told me everyone deserves more than fries. The room was silent except for Sarah's shallow breathing. Alex turned to Derek, voice hardened. Your manager overheard. Told you that meal was coming out of your tips, 24. You said fine. You cut her hours from 11 to 9 as punishment. She said fine again. Then she served that meal anyway and told me I mattered. Sarah was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Derek. Alex's attention focused fully on the floor manager. You told me Thursday was a slow night. Said total tips were $835, is that correct? Derek shifted in his chair. Sweat appeared on his forehead. Yes, it was slow. My POSO system shows $835 in credit card tips and an estimated $400 in cash based on typical ratios. Over $1,235 total. Can you explain the discrepancy? Silence. Alex pulled out his laptop and turned it to face the room. The security footage began playing on the screen. Derek's face appeared alone in the back office late at night, counting the tip jar, pocketing cash. Gasps echoed around the room. 43 times, Alex said quietly. Over 8 weeks, I had my IT director compile every instance. The footage continued. Derek checking the door, sliding bills into his jacket, counting what remained. You stole an estimated $12,800 in 8 weeks alone, Alex said. And when I audited the last 18 months, the total rises to $31,200 from 4 employees. Emma Williams had tears running down her face. Jason Davis looked furious. Rebecca Moore sat frozen in shock. Sarah Mitchell. Alex pulled up a spreadsheet. $11,200 stolen from you over 18 months. Sarah made a small sound, almost a sob. Jason Davis, $8,100. Emma Williams, $6,800. Rebecca Moore, $5,100. Those are just estimates, Derek started. No, Alex interrupted. They're calculations based on POSOS data cross-referenced with your bank deposits. Alex pulled out another document. November 7th, you deposited $1,235 into your account. The exact amount of the discrepancy. October 31st, deposited $1,235, exact match. November 3rd, $890, also exact. Derek's confident posture collapsed. Sarah, Alex said softly, do you have anything you'd like to share with everyone? All eyes turned to her. She sat frozen for a moment, then slowly stood. Her legs were shaky. She walked to her locker in the hallway, visible through the conference room's glass wall. Everyone watched. She reached behind her uniform and pulled out a worn manila envelope. She returned to the conference room and placed it on the table. The label faced up. Liam's college fund. She opened it. Papers spilled across the table. 48 pieces of napkins, receipts, order tickets. "I've been documenting everything." Her voice shook but held steady. "Every shift for 9 weeks. Every dollar I counted from my tables versus every dollar Derek gave me." She picked up one piece of paper. "Thursday, November 7th. My tables estimated $280. Derek gave me $63. She picked up another. "October 30th, estimated $245, received $71. Another, October 23rd, estimated $3 received $89. She looked at Derek, and for the first time, there was something other than fear in her eyes. "I didn't know if anyone would believe me, but I knew someone had to care eventually, so I wrote it all down." Alex picked up several papers, reading total documented discrepancy, $8,400 over 9 weeks. "This is," Derek started. "You can't prove it," he began. "I have security footage, POS data, bank records, testimony from 3 former employees who quit because of you, and now Sarah's documentation, which matches our data perfectly," Alex said, ice in his voice. "You're fired, effective immediately. Security is waiting outside to escort you from the building." Derek's face went from white to red. "You can't do this. If you contest this termination, set foot on this property again, or attempt to contact any current or former employees, I will file criminal charges for felony wage theft. The Department of Labor is already reviewing this case." 2 security guards entered the room. "Get him out of my restaurant," Alex said. Derek looked around at Sarah, at Emma, at Jason, at Rebecca. No one met his eyes. The guards took his arms and let him out. The door closed behind them. Dead silence. Alex remained standing at the front of the room. The staff sat in stunned silence, processing what had just happened. "What happened here?" Alex began, voice quiet but firm. "Is my failure?" Sarah looked up, surprised. "I got too distant, too focused on expansion, on revenue numbers, on board meetings. I lost sight of what my father built this place on, taking care of people." He paused. "That ends today, not with words, with action." He pulled out a folder and opened it on the table. "First change, effective immediately. No more forced tip pooling." The staff exchanged glances. The company policy had always been that tips are individual unless servers choose to voluntarily pool. Derek violated that policy. From now on, tips are yours. Period. If you want to pool with coworkers, that's your choice, but voluntary and transparent. Sarah wiped her eyes, trying to follow his words. Second, new POS system upgrade. Starting next week, the system will auto-track tips per server, both credit card and cash. You'll be able to log into a portal and see your exact tip totals for every shift. No more black box. Complete transparency. Third, weekly tip reconciliation reports. Every Sunday night, the system generates a report showing total tips collected and total tips distributed. Any discrepancy over $10 gets flagged for immediate investigation, and those reports are posted in the break room for all staff to see. Alex walked around the table, making eye contact with each person. Fourth, anonymous tip line. A poster is being installed in the break room today with a QR code and phone number. Any concern, any issue with management, scheduling, pay, or treatment, you can report it anonymously. Those reports come directly to me, not to your manager. To me, Rebecca spoke up, voice small. What if management retaliates for reporting? Then they get fired. Zero tolerance policy. It's in writing in your employee handbook, effective today. Alex pulled out printed copies and handed them around. Retaliation for reporting legitimate concerns is grounds for immediate termination with cause. The staff stared at the documents. Fifth, quarterly owner walkthroughs unannounced. I'll be here talking to everyone. Dishwashers, bussers, line cooks, servers, bartenders, not just managers. I want to hear from the people doing the work. Sixth, server representative. Starting this month, you'll elect one person from the floor staff to attend monthly management meetings. They'll have a voice in scheduling, policy changes, and any issues affecting servers. Real representation, not token. Emma raised her hand tentatively. What about the money Derek took? Can we get it back? Alex opened his briefcase and pulled out several envelopes. I've audited the last 18 months. Every stolen dollar gets repaid with 18% interest for the time you've been without it. He started calling names. Emma Williams, $6,800 stolen with interest 8,024. He handed her an envelope. Emma opened it and stared at the check, tears streaming down her face. Jason Davis, $8,100 stolen with interest, $9,558. Jason took the check with shaking hands. Rebecca Moore, $5,100 stolen with interest, $6,018. Rebecca covered her mouth, sobbing. Sarah Mitchell. Sarah stood barely able to keep her legs steady. $11,200 stolen with interest, $13,016. He handed her the envelope. Sarah opened it, stared at the check. Her knees nearly gave out. Emma and Rebecca moved to either side of her, holding her up. I can't, Sarah whispered. It's yours. It was always yours. I'm just returning what was stolen. But that's not all, Alex said. Sarah looked up at him through tears. I'm offering you the position of assistant general manager. Immediate start. The room went silent again. Sarah shook her head. I can't. I'm just a server. No, you're not just anything. Alex's voice was firm. Thursday night, you documented injustice for 48 days. You treated customers with dignity when your manager punished you for it. You protected younger staff members. You never gave up, never stopped doing the right thing. That's not service. That's leadership. You know how to treat people with respect, how to protect the team, how to choose principle over convenience. That's all leadership is. He pulled out another document. Assistant General Manager, 35% salary increase over your current pay, full benefits package. He paused, meeting her eyes. Including full health care with dependent coverage. Sarah's breathing stopped. Your son's medical needs, insulin, test strips, pump supplies, doctor visits, specialists, all covered. Zero copay for chronic disease management. Sarah collapsed into her chair, sobbing, full body shaking sobs of relief, the weight she'd been carrying for years, the constant terror of affording Liam's insulin, the calculations of every dollar, the fear of one unexpected medical bill destroying them. It lifted all at once. Emma wrapped her arms around Sarah. Rebecca joined them. Even Jason's eyes were wet. Alex gave them a moment, then continued quietly. And there's a $3,000 annual education stipend for professional development. Or, he glanced at the worn envelope still on the table for Liam's college fund, a real one. Sarah couldn't speak, could only cry. Will you help me make sure this place stays what it's supposed to be? Alex extended his hand. Sarah looked at his hand through tears, looked at her co-workers who were nodding, encouraging her, looked at the check in her shaking fingers, looked at the envelope labeled Liam's college fund that had been her weapon and her burden. She stood, still trembling, and took Alex's hand. Yes. The room erupted in applause. Tommy whistled from the back. Emma was crying and clapping simultaneously. Alex shook Sarah's hand firmly. Welcome to management. We have a lot of work to do. Sarah nodded, unable to form words. She looked around at her team. Her family, really. They were smiling at her, proud of her. For the first time in years, Sarah Mitchell felt safe. 3 months later, the Harborside had transformed. Sarah stood near the kitchen pass wearing her new manager's shirt, navy blue with assistant GM embroidered on the pocket. 2 new servers, both college students, stood beside her for training. Everyone who walks through that door matters, Sarah explained, echoing words that had become her teaching mantra. Rich, poor, dressed up, dressed down. They all get the same respect, That's not optional. That's who we are. The younger server, Katie, raised her hand. But what if they're rude to us? You still treat them with dignity. That's your choice, not theirs. Sarah smiled. My dad used to say, the measure of a person is how they treat people who can do anything for them. Be the person you're proud to be, regardless of how others act. Got it, Katie said, taking notes. Now, let's talk about the POS system and how tip tracking works. Across the restaurant, Alex sat at a corner booth reviewing the weekly tip reconciliation report with Emma Williams and Jason Davis. The numbers spread across the table were transparent. Every dollar tracked, every distribution verified. Last week you made $380, Emma, Alex said, pointing to the report. Does that match your portal? Emma checked her phone, opening the staff app. Yep, 380 exactly, good. Any discrepancies, you tell Sarah or me immediately, even small ones. We investigate everything. Alex looked at Jason. You good? Yeah. Made 420. System's working great. Jason hesitated. Can I ask something? Always. That anonymous tip line. Does anyone actually read those? I personally read every single one, and Sarah reviews them with me weekly. Alex pulled out his phone and showed them the dashboard. Last month, we got 23 submissions. Most were positive feedback. A few concerns about kitchen temperature during lunch rush. We fixed the AC unit. One about a supplier delivery blocking the staff entrance. We changed the delivery time. And nobody got in trouble for reporting? Emma asked. Not a single person, that's the whole point. If something's wrong, we want to know before it becomes a bigger problem. At the bar, Rebecca Moore was training the new bartender. The system auto-calculates your tips. At the end of your shift, you log in, verify the amount, and it goes directly to your paycheck. No jar, no manager handling it. Just you and the system. Near the back booth, 7-year-old Liam Mitchell sat doing homework. His backpack spread across the table. His insulin pump was visible on his arm. The device that kept him healthy now fully covered by his mother's insurance. Tommy Anderson emerged from the kitchen with a plate of fries. Homework fuel, he said, setting it down. Thanks, Chef Tommy. Liam grinned. Mom says you make the best fries in Boston. Your mom's a smart woman. How's the math coming? It's hard, but Mom says hard things are worth doing. She's right about that, too. Tommy ruffled Liam's hair and headed back to the kitchen, passing Sarah on the way. She watched her son for a moment, healthy, safe, doing normal kid things, and felt gratitude so profound it ached. At 7:00 p.m., a man in worn work clothes entered the restaurant. The new hostess, Angela, started to lead him toward a less desirable table. Sarah intercepted smoothly. Actually, table 8 just opened. It has a much better view. The man looked surprised. Thank you, that's really kind. Everyone gets our best. Enjoy your meal. As Sarah walked past the POS station, Emma caught her eye and smiled. They both remembered. This was the standard now, not the exception. The standard. Later that evening, Alex arrived for one of his unannounced quarterly walkthroughs. But instead of going to the office, he went straight to the kitchen. How's everyone doing tonight? He shook hands with the dishwasher. Diego, right? How are we treating you? Good, Mr. Brooks. Really good. Sarah checks on us every shift, asks if we need anything. Alex found Sarah at the end of her shift. The staff says you're checking on everyone. Just doing my job. That's not in your job description. Sarah smiled. My dad used to say taking care of people isn't a job description. It's a job qualification. Alex laughed. I wish I could have met him. You did? Sarah said quietly. Every time you treat someone with dignity, you're meeting him. That's the legacy he left. She gestured around the restaurant, staff working together, Liam doing homework safely, the poster on the wall with the anonymous tip line. That's the legacy you're building. Alex looked around his restaurant, his father's restaurant, really, and now Sarah's too. It wasn't perfect. There were still problems to solve, complaints to address, systems to improve. But it was moving in the right direction, and that was enough. 6 months after that Thursday night, Sarah Mitchell stood at the kitchen pass during lunch service, confident and calm. The restaurant hummed with its usual energy. Customers laughing, servers moving efficiently, kitchen calling out orders, everything in its right place. Derek Torres had pled guilty to wage theft and fraud. The Department of Labor had prosecuted, and he'd received probation plus full restitution. He wouldn't manage people again. But Derek was just one person. The real problem was bigger. Alex had learned that 40 million Americans experience wage theft every year. Stolen tips, edited time cards, unpaid overtime, $15 billion stolen annually, more than all robberies combined. The most common crime most people never heard about because victims were afraid to speak up. That had to change. Alex sat at the bar counter, the same seat where he'd sat 6 months ago, and looked directly at the camera mounted on the wall. This was the part he'd agreed to film for the documentary team. If you're experiencing wage theft, Alex said, and thousands of you watching are, here's what you do. First, document everything. Sarah's envelope saved not just her case, but 3 others. Keep your own time records, photograph schedules, save receipts. Your phone can be your protection. Second, know your rights. The Department of Labor has resources at DOL.gov/WD. Wage theft is illegal, period. You don't need a lawyer to file a complaint. Third, you're not alone. 40 million people. Share your story. Let others know they're not the only ones fighting this. And if you're a business owner watching this, your people are your business. Protect them fiercely. Create systems that make integrity the default, not the exception. Be the leader your team deserves. If you manage people, remember what Sarah did. She treated someone with dignity when it cost her. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's leadership. The screen showed text. National Wage Theft Hotline, 1-844-762-3952. Alex stood from the bar and walked to where Sarah was working. She smiled at him, then turned to greet a new customer, a woman in paint-stained jeans and a tired expression. "Hi there," Sarah said warmly. "What can I get started for you?" The same kindness, the same dignity, because everyone who walks through that door mattered. Everyone. Fate Tales Outro. Thanks for watching this incredible true story. Remember, the choices we make define who we are. Like Sarah, choose dignity, courage, and kindness, even when it costs you. Subscribe to Fate Tales for more real-life stories of triumph, justice, and the power of standing up for what's right. Hit the bell to never miss a moment.